Let the House please be in order. Stand as we are led in prayer this afternoon. The gentleman from Pike, Representative Porter, will introduce our guest minister, and then please remain standing for the pledge. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it's my pleasure to introduce today Minister Shane Banks. We grabbed him from Representative Curry's district, but he's the associate minister of my church, Summit Missionary Baptist, located in the best district in the state. That's District 98. And so, haters gonna hate. But I'm very happy to, again, present to others and present to some Minister Shane Banks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We do thank the Lord for being here today. Thank you all for having me today. We're going to do exactly what we're asked to do. We would bow our heads. Gracious Father, we gather here today just saying thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for being so good. Thank you for all of your love and compassion. Now, Father, that you've shown us so much grace and so much mercy, Lord. Lord, I pray right now, Lord, that we can receive that, Lord, and believe that, Father, and show it to one another. Lord, I pray your unity right now upon this House, upon this Senate, Father. Lord, help it to not to be, no one to be selfish, Father, in their thinking, Father, but help us to have a unified mindset, Father, here today, Father, and going forth, Father. I pray, Lord, that we can find a common denominator here so that we can move forth, Lord, and do what's best for our state. We thank you right now, Lord. Let your will be done above all. Let your will have its way right now. Let your spirit have its way. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
We will have the reading of the journal. Gentleman from Rankin, Representative Powell, moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introductions.
Is there objection to this? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, we will follow that procedure. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of guests and visitors. Gentleman from Holmes, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, in the South Gallery, we have a group of members of the Holmes County Valley Alumni Association. Can y'all please stand and y'all help welcome them to their capital.
Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is my honor and privilege to get to welcome back to the Capitol and to give a big to the top to everybody's favorite Golden Eagle, the President of the University of Southern Mississippi, Dr. Joe Paul.
Good to see you, Doc. Good to have you here. Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the North Gallery, I ask that two of my distinguished Bolivar County alums, the president of the Bolivar County Alumni Chapter, Dr. Lynette Brown, and Dr. Linda Housey, if you make them welcome, please.
Gentleman from Jones, Mr. Scoggin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, I'd like to introduce 3 people up there that are representing the Community College Faculty Association. If y'all would please stand. One's from Itawamba Community College, one from Meridian, and one from Jones.
Gentleman from Panola, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, in the North Gallery, please help me welcome back a grandmother of one of our pages and the former First Lady of House District 10, Ms. Kay Medetol.
Welcome, lady. It's good to see you and have you here. You're welcome anytime. It's good to see you. Gentleman from Montgomery, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, would you help me make welcome in the South Gallery the Honorable Al White, Mayor of the City of Duck Hill, Mississippi. Thank you for being with us, Al.
Gentleman from Copiah, Mr. Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, in the South Gallery, would you help me make welcome Jackson Hines, Alumni Association of Mississippi Valley State University, retired MBN and Mississippi Highway Patrol, and also the Chief of Police for the City of Jackson, former Chief of Police for the City of Jackson in the South Gallery. Help me welcome Shirlene Anderson.
Gentleman from Warren, Mr. Denton.
Surprise is gentleman from Pike, Mr. Porter. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, please help me make welcome a special guest of mine, my mom, Emma, and the future of District 98, Presley Grace Porter.
Welcome. Lady from Humphreys, Miss James Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the ladies and gentlemen of the House, please make welcome all the way from Belzoni, Mississippi, the anchorman for WABG, who is only going to report very good stories about me and the House, Mr. Donatus Liddell, who is with Mississippi Valley State University, the anchorman from WABG TV. Thank you for having us.
Gentleman from Panola, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor today to introduce the Doctor of the Day, Dr. Catherine Panel from Oxford. She's the President-elect of the Mississippi Psychiatric Association. Please help me and welcome her.
Welcome, Doc. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of this House, I would like for you to acknowledge and recognize one of the pillars in terms of the stability of Mississippi Valley State and the central Mississippi area, none other than Dr. Mary Crump. She's the former president of the Hinds County Mississippi Valley State Association, as well as a neighbor and a community leader, and just a downright good woman. Mary Crump, Dr. Mary Crump, Mississippi Valley State.
All right, I don't see any further member introductions. I recognize our head page, Jessica Smoots, who will introduce our pages for the week. Is she with us? Here she comes. Here she comes. Stand up, pages.
Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. This week we have 20 pages. They are Olivia Case from Brookhaven, Gabriella Cedino from Madison, Sydney Maria Clayton for Brandon, Mackenzie Lee Commons from Jackson, Dorian Domino from Jackson, Ansley Evans from Monticello, Carter Evans from Brookhaven, Hagen Evans from Monticello, Taylor Evans from Brookhaven, Avery Henry from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Eden Hill from Jackson, James Hill II from Jackson, Sarah Hudson from Laurel, Kara Ishii from Soso, Sarah Kate Jeffcoat from Soso, Kaylin Milstead from Brookhaven, Adelaide Marie Reed from Senatobia, Zachary Stubb from Gulfport, Mason Summers from Jackson, Kai Matthew Weld from Pontotoc. Thank you.
All right, I will ask the Sergeant at Arms to escort our special guest in. Y'all please give your attention. I'll recognize the gentleman from Washington to introduce our special guest.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is a great day for the Mississippi Delta because the highlight of the Mississippi Delta is on display. Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Representatives, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce the leader of this great institution. But before I introduce and bring the President of Mississippi Valley State before you, I want to share a couple of things. So walking into the chamber today, I was told by the gentleman from Hines that he used to be the voice of Mississippi Valley State, Representative Bo Brown. So please acknowledge the fact that he had a part of Valley's inception when there was the Titan-Rice connection in Mississippi Valley State. Then on stage with us is a small legendary person from the historical significance of Mississippi Valley State, which is our very own distinguished gentleman from Bolivar County, Representative Robert Sanders, who, by the way, played just a little bit of basketball at Mississippi Valley State. I think he had 1 or 2 records while he was there for a minute, but I always took him to the post. But ladies and gentlemen, we're honored to be here, and because of the privilege that you've given us to be here, I'm going to introduce to you the president of the Mississippi Valley State University.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Hines, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I want to begin by just saying good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, and greetings to you, the Mississippi House of Representatives. Again, I am Dr. Gerald Briggs, the blessed 8th president of our beloved Mississippi Valley State University. And on behalf of our thousands of alums, current students, faculty, and staff, we want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for all your support, your continued support and love for our beloved university. Now here today we have several of our alumni and friends of the university, and I want to give them a shout out as well because folks, they love us some Mississippi Valley State University, don't we? Now, one thing that you probably heard in the past is that 8-word vision that we have of one goal, one team, one valley in motion. And indeed, Mississippi Valley State University is in motion, but we need more. We need more help and support to continue this momentum that we have right now. And I'm going to share a couple of examples when we talk about being in motion, what that really means. I think we've all heard of conversation about this enrollment cliff that's happening across the country, where several institutions are now having severe enrollment declines over the past years, and it's projected that that's going to continue going forward. But I'm happy to announce that this fall, Mississippi Valley State University had a 16.9% enrollment increase. And that increase represented the highest percentage of any of our in-state institutions, all 8 of us. But we also received national recognition as having one of the highest percentages in the nation amongst our nation's HBCUs. So again, Mississippi Valley State University is growing, and we're doing great things, and we're going to continue to do that because the enrollment this spring is equally impressive. It really is. The other thing that I wanted to make sure I announced is that we went through our final stages of our reaffirmation of our accreditation, that 10-year stamp that all universities get from SAC-COC. And we went through this process with flying colors, as we didn't have any recommendations or findings for room of improvement. But we also received approval for our Prison Education Partnership Program, which offers academic programs to incarcerated students through the Second Chance Pell opportunity. So another thing that shows Mississippi Valley State University is supporting our community's health, and really putting forth efforts to continue to grow in that regard. Now I can go on. The other thing I did want to make sure that I did mention, you all are aware that we have this very strong relationship with FedEx, and that relationship continues to grow and prosper and really, really do great things. I do also want to make sure that I do recognize the representatives here who are Valley grads, and that's John Hines, Brian Clark, and Robert Sanders. Gentlemen, thank you all for all the love and support that you all continue to show our university. But I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize our district's representative, Representative Solomon Osborne. Now, again, I can go on and on about really what's happening at the university, but I think the most important voice that you all need to hear for a brief moment is a voice of one of our students, because we have some really outstanding students. So I'm going to ask our current Student Government Association President, Ms. Kejanique Ali, to come forward shortly, but I also want to take an opportunity to introduce 2 other students who are with us here today. Our current Mr. MVSU, Mr. Jarkevius Edwards, and our SGA Vice President, Ms. Jamia Peoples. But now I'm going to ask Kejanique to come forward and just give brief remarks. Thank you all.
Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. John Dewey. Greetings and good afternoon. I am Kejanique Desiree Ali, the 53rd Student Government Association President at the phenomenal Mississippi Valley State University. I am honored to stand before you, filled with deep gratitude and admiration for the incredible progress achieved on our campus. From the majestic administration building to the academic skills facility, and now with the exciting commencement of renovations at the Student Union. The commitment to enhancing our university has been truly remarkable. As I look ahead to the future, it is evident that Mississippi Valley State University is undergoing a profound transformation aimed at ensuring that students like myself receive a quality education. This unwavering commitment in support in fostering a safe, productive, and innovative educational environment in the heart of the Mississippi Delta have not gone unnoticed. 3 years ago, I embarked on a journey filled by hope with the aspiration of completing the path I had chosen. Today, with boundless joy, I stand before you to announce the realization of that hope. The beacon of hope emanating from our campus, building, and classroom has propelled me towards success. Thanks to the dedication of our esteemed faculty, our visionary president, and the extended cabinet, I am delighted to share that I will be graduating this May with a bachelor's degree in education. Yes, I did it in 3. In this landscape of education, it is imperative that our unwavering commitment serve as a guiding light. Our collective endeavors transcend mere construction projects. They signify an investment in the future of our students, our community, and of course, our state. As we continue on this shared journey, let us draw inspiration from the profound words of Nelson Mandela, who famously declared, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, we will go to the calendar. Motion to reconsider calendar. Appropriations. Chairman of Appropriations, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, is it on? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to item the appropriations calendar. Item number 1 would be Senate Bill 2276. I'll bring it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring up the gentle lady from Amite to explain the bill.
Lady from Amite, recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 2276 authorizes DPS to purchase certain real property and any improvements that are located in Oxford, Mississippi, known as formerly the Rayner Eye Clinic. And this building and the land that sits on the building that's on the land is going to become the North Mississippi Medical Examiner's Office. There is no money in this bill. This bill is just authorizing DPS to purchase the real property and any improvements thereon. DPS has $15.5 million from ARPA that they're going to use to purchase the land and the improvements that are on the land. They have gotten 2 appraisers. One appraiser was selected by DFA, and then the seller actually had an appraiser. And between those 2 appraisals, the price came in at $1.7 million. So of the $15.5 million in ARPA money that they have, they're going to use $1.7 million of it to purchase the land and any improvements thereon. And this bill is going to take in effect from and after passage. And that's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. Oh, I would just say this too. The amount of land that's being purchased is 1.095 acres. And that's an explanation of Senate Bill 2276, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield for any questions if there are any.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, lady.
Move final passage.
Lady moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
I ask immediate release.
Gentleman asks for immediate release. Is there objection?
Appropriation yields the floor.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move to the general calendar. Public health? Passes. Judd B? Gentleman from Grenada, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll call up item number 2, House Bill 292, and advance the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
There's committee sub, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman calls up the committee sub and moves that it be adopted in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. Gentlemen, you're recognized. Explain
Thank
to
you,
the
Mr.
committee
Speaker.
sub.
What this bill does is provide some clarifying language to practitioners and Department of Public Safety, as well as the court system, as to actually when DUI suspension times for your licenses will commence. And it basically states that it will start at time of judgment. I've talked with members, Chairman Sparks on the Senate side, and he asked that we put a reverse repealer in it, and we did that so we could add some additional language, but that's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen. Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 3, House Bill 763, advance the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, there's a committee sub on this measure as well.
Gentleman has a committee sub. He calls the committee sub up and move that it be adopted in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this does is extend the repealer on the work program, pilot work program that includes 3 counties, well, actually 4 counties now, that we passed the last 2 years, and the change to it, the committee sub, increases it from 25 to 100. That's the explanation, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Tallahatchie, Mr. Rosebud, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentlemen, has there been any other counties that shown interest in this program?
I've had some members talk to me about it. Gentlemen, if you recall, we talked about last year making sure that the counties that asked for it had the financial wherewithal to support the program. It takes a lot more work than just saying you want to sign up for it. I don't have an objection to, at the Senate, by the time it gets to the Senate, works through the process, if you convince them to add counties, if there's any county represented by any members here that feel like they can get the letters from their circuit judges, the Board of Supervisors to support the pilot program, I don't see it as being a problem. None of the counties that are in it now have asked to be removed from it, so it must be working at least to their satisfaction of the counties, but I don't have a problem for those counties that won't. I do not want counties to come in, start a program that they don't understand the cost of it. It's not cheap to get it started. It requires some administrative costs. I think it's good for the community and keeps people in corrections in their local, basically promotes local corrections, which, gentlemen, you know I'm in favor of. But if you feel like you can get the documentation from Tallahatchie County or our county, Grenada County, that we both represent, then I'll be glad to add that. But at this point in time, nobody else has come forward asking that they be included. No
Thank you,
county.
Chairman.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So what counties, because it sure does sound like some of the bills that I'm working on, what counties are those included?
It includes Lee, Rankin, Harrison, and I think that's it. Yeah, 3 counties. I thought there were 4 was 3 counties.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 118 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
I have some further down the calendar. I'll pass it this time and come back to it.
Chairman of Transportation, he's coming. Gentleman from Benton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item number 4, House Bill 697. Call it up, make a usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, you recognize the gentleman from DeSoto to handle the bill.
Gentleman from DeSoto is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 697 is labeled the Mississippi Aviation Safeties Act, and this bill is nothing more than what the title suggests. This bill is a state act to ensure public notice of announced Stage 1 wind towers that are dangerous primarily to our agricultural pilots in the Delta. This safety act requires that any owned entity tower more than 50 feet, but less than 200 feet, be recorded via email submission of their exact GPS location, along with any marking devices associated with upon construction. That concludes my explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I yield for questions.
Questions on the bill? They can't hear you, gentlemen. You want to do that again?
Take 2.
They don't know if they're for it or against it.
I hear you. This bill is a state act to ensure public notice of announced Stage 1 wind towers that are dangerous primarily to our agricultural pilots in the Delta. This safety act requires that any owned entity tower more than 50 feet but less than 200 feet be recorded via email submission of their exact GPS location, along with any marking devices associated with upon construction. That's the explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir.
What is the maximum or the minimum of the footage and the yardage in which you were describing to us?
It starts at 50 feet to 200 feet.
So which is greater?
That would be 200 feet.
Okay. So if I had something, a tower that was 232 feet, would it qualify?
No, sir. That goes to the FFA.
So what I do about the extra 32 feet?
That I can't tell you.
Gentleman from Lamar, Mr. Tubb.
Yes, sir. Did the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Could you help the body understand how these towers are going to be identified by these passing planes?
The MMAA is responsible for this database.
Good deal.
Now, all our agricultural pilots have access to that, so they can get updates on this weekly and daily if needed.
Yes, sir. And would fluorescent pink be a formidable or acceptable form of identification for these towers?
Yes, sir, it could be.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, I don't see any further questions, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 118 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Go to House Bill number 5, House Bill number 940. Mr. Speaker, called up, make a usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Recognize the gentleman from Panola to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Panola is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 940. House Bill 940 gives the Transportation Commission the flexibility to use alternative contract methods that have already been approved by the federal government and used in several other states. It also allows the Commission to designate a website to advertise bids on. It does not take away, they can still advertise in any publication they see fit to increase competition, and that's my explanation of this bill.
Gentleman from Montgomery, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you here?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, you mentioned auctions and bidding. Is this done on eBay? I mean, where is this done?
Well, it's they're going to designate a website. That would be their choice. I'm assuming it's one of the websites that y'all didn't exclude last year.
We excluded a website last year?
Yeah.
In this bill?
Not in this bill.
Okay.
The commission will designate one.
Well, will you be able to order wine and have that shipped to your door in this piece of legislation?
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Grenada, Mr. Horan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, you?
Yes, sir.
I thought I heard you say that this bill promotes alternative lifestyles. Is that what you said?
No, sir, I did not.
Oh, alternative what?
Alternative contracting methods.
Oh, I thought contracting methods. I just did not understand that part of your explanation. And exactly what does that mean, alternative contracting?
There's several methods that have been out there for several years, such as design method, contractor, and general contractor method and construction contract method and progressive. It's just updating language. These were originally thought of to be alternative, to be experimental.
You're going to using that term again.
I'm sorry. Those were originally experimental. It's just taking that off. I'm sorry.
Experimental as opposed to alternative? Is that what you're saying now, sir?
They were 10 years ago. They're commonly being used now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
I move for final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to skip item number 6. Mr. Speaker, hold its place. We'll go to item number 7, House Bill 751. Call it up and make a usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Recognize the gentleman from George to handle the bill.
Gentleman from George is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 751 is basically extending a repealer on a current bill there, 77-7345, which is was set up to develop a voluntary inspection program for commercial vehicles. The repealer was set to expire this year, and this is extended out to 27. And currently, the program still hasn't been started yet. There, just give them some more time to get it going. And that is the explanation of the bill. Any questions?
Questions on the bill? Don't see any, gentlemen.
Move to final passage.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, you seem to stirred up controversy with that little bit of a pause. Gentleman from Montgomery, Mr. Oliver.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you yield.
Hey, yes, sir.
You referred to a code section there. Can you go back to that and tell me what that section was again?
Code section is 77-7-345, which was,
Right. And can you tell me just exactly what that is?
Yes, sir.
I need to know what that code section states.
Commissioner of Public Safety authorized to make reasonable rules and regulations to provide a voluntary program for inspection of commercial motor vehicles. And just to make it so we could do a voluntary program, right now it's not mandated there, but and just different details about requiring inspectors have access to the vehicle log, prescribe a method of documentation, require inspection occur on an annual basis, provide the inspection is not mandatory, and fees, etc.
Is there a pay raise in this bill?
Is there a pay raise in this bill? I don't see one, no, sir.
Not a legislative pay raise?
No, sir.
Okay. I think you got a good bill, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Gentleman from Tippa, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, will you yield?
Yes, sir.
I've been here now 13 years. I'm getting older. My memory's getting bad due to me getting older and various other reasons, but we won't go there. But you mentioned something, and I think you called it a repealer. Can you state to me what a repealer is?
A repealer, as far as this process is in place, is just an automatic trigger there. Say if it goes a certain time, and something like this on a new program like this gives you time, and something happens it's not feasible or doesn't work out, you can just, it'll automatically repeal it out instead of having to codify everything.
Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Chickasaw, Mr. Lancaster.
Yes, sir. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
I see it's a voluntary inspection. Where do you go to volunteer to get inspected?
Well, based on this, it's set up for the Public Safety Director to set all that up, give him discretion to set that program up.
Oh, I hate to sound redundant, but would that include full body cavity inspection?
That is not included in this bill, sir.
I usually consent, but I've never been anywhere and volunteered. Okay, thank you, sir.
Gentleman from Wayne, Mr. Barnett.
Thank you, sir. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, you mentioned the Commissioner of Public Safety. Do you know who that is?
Currently, it's Sean Tyndall, yes.
Sean Tyndall. I think I've heard of him. Would you say he's a pretty good guy?
Yes, sir.
So you have no problem bringing this bill before us and affirming that he's not going to do anything nefarious with it?
No, sir. I don't have any problem with that. No, sir.
Okay, good. Sean is a great guy.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen. You seem to have answered all their questions. I don't see any further questions. You move final passage?
Yes, sir. Let's move to final
Gentleman
passage.
moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 117 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Chairman Judd B's back with us. You're recognized, gentleman from Grenada.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to pass item 8 and ask it retain its place on the calendar and go to item 9.
Gentleman goes to item 9, House Bill 438.
Put it up in advance usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill, gentleman.
Ask the gentleman from Rankin County to handle the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Rankin's recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 438 is revising the penalties for shoplifting. We've had a lot of calls from mayors and police chiefs and prosecutors and a lot of retailers especially that are really in favor of this. On line 445, you're raising the first time shoplifting penalty up to $1,500. Line 57 raises the second offense shoplifting fine up to $3,000. And on line 71, it raises for the third offense shoplifting an increase up to $4,000. And that's the crux of the bill.
You yield for questions, gentlemen? Gentleman from Tallahatchie, Mr. Rosebud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
So you're raising the fees to $1,500 for a shoplifter. In some instances, there are individuals, not to support them, but it's just a consideration. There are individuals, small kids, that may pick up a candy bar in the store and get arrested for shoplifting. So we would expect their parent to pay $1,500 for shoplifting that piece of candy, or is there a value to the items that they're shoplifting?
There's not a value, but a child doing that would be dealt with in juvenile courts. It's not. In other words, they don't handle a child in adult courts.
Is there anything in that bill that says that it's going to be consideration? Because we have to be realistic about it. There are individuals that go to the extreme with small items like that.
Yeah, I mean, so this deals with adults only, and I mean it's in an adult court. So I don't. There's no provision for it. All this is doing is the existing statute is increasing this.
What is the current rate?
I don't know offhand. 1,000.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Harness.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
And what, sir, what would you say is the purpose of increasing the penalty for shoplifting?
There's a real problem that retailers are having right now with people taking stuff that doesn't belong to them. I mean, it's just the bottom line, and it's getting worse.
Can't hear you, sir.
There's a real problem with folks that seem to be taking stuff that don't belong to them in stores. Retailers are having a real issue with it. Stores like Walmart, Target, Dollar General, all of them are being affected.
And do you think that this is going to really deter, by increasing a misdemeanor penalty of shoplifting, is going to deter shoplifting?
I hope it does. I believe it will.
Do you think that the individuals that do that shoplift, do you think that they're going to be aware that the penalty to shoplifting has increased, so we're not going to shoplift?
Well, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for almost 50 years in the bail bonding business, and I can tell you that when penalties go up, the amount of crime that I see goes down in that particular instance. And when it's relaxed, it goes the crime rate goes up.
Do you have any data to back that up?
No, but I got over 45 years of experience with it.
Okay, if you don't have, you're a bail bond and you're
That's
increasing
right.
the penalty? Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? Next question. What happens when the person is unable to pay that fine or penalty?
That's up to the judge and the courts. That's, that. Like I say, I've been around the criminal justice system for a long time. I've seen instances where people couldn't pay the fines. They were put on work release. They were allowed to work around the municipality or the county and work the fine off that way, or there's all kind of different ways that they can take care of it.
Okay. So are there any other misdemeanor offenses that require a penalty of $1,500?
Several of them, yes, sir.
Several of them? Okay, no further questions, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
In concert with what my colleague was talking about in terms of juveniles and adolescents taking a piece of candy, could you perhaps think about putting an age limit on this particular bill so that it would not entangle any 12, 13, 11-year-olds?
It doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to juveniles.
I say it doesn't require, but could you consider putting an age limit on it? You have to be over 14, 15 years old before this takes place. Because we don't want any 10, 11, or 12-year-old getting tangled up in this $1,500 fine, I would say.
Juveniles are handled by a different statute.
Does it state this in the bill?
there's statutes that are already set up for juveniles. There's different statutes for juveniles.
I'm saying in this particular bill, though, it says a fine of
But this
15.
bill doesn't apply to juveniles, sir. It's not germane to the issue.
Does it say that?
Do what?
Does the bill say it doesn't apply?
No, but you have a different set of sections that deal with juveniles.
I don't think you've answered my question, but thank you.
Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Gentlemen, you yield.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, is it not true that there are several different statutes that divide youth crimes from adult crimes?
Yes, sir.
And in the event that a person under the age of 18 was to bump into this particular set of circumstances, he or she would not go into circuit court, but yet youth court?
That's correct.
All right, gentlemen, having cleared that up, tell me about the threshold of the items in which an individual would steal. So if I stole something that was under $100, would I still be fined $1,500?
It's up to the judge, sir. It's the fine that reads up to $1,500.
So there's no threshold on the penalty of, so stealing a cordless screwdriver that costs $29 and stealing a Milwaukee high impact driver that costs $799, the judge, either one of them could be fined up to $1,500. Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
So has there been any consideration of placing a threshold pivot on this particular legislation where if something was $500 and less, you could be fined A, B, C, rather than going from pillar to post to $1,500? Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's not workable with the code section on the offense.
Gentlemen, I asked you that question, and my esteemed colleague says already in the bill, so my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 89 yeas, 28 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I pass on items number 10 and 11 and call up item number 12. I am.
Gentleman calls up House Bill 1089.
I'm going to ask that those two items retain their place on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
1089, I call it up, item number 12.
You make the usual motion, gentlemen?
Advance the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this bill does is increase the potential for indigent counsel compensation in circuit courts and in youth court and county court when applicable. This has not been increased. My understanding is, according to my local circuit judge, in 42 years. It raises it from $1,000 up to $5,000 for non-capital cases, up to $10,000 for capital cases, and for $1,000 for those misdemeanors wherein they are not eligible to be appealed to circuit court. That's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
You yield for questions, gentlemen?
I do.
Gentleman from Forest, Mr. Watson.
If the chairman would yield, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, certainly.
Why is the repealer in this to the year 2027?
Excuse me?
If there's a repealer in the bill, why is the repealer there?
That's a good question, gentlemen. As you well know, we're trying to get a statewide public defender system in place, and hopefully we'll have something in place by then to see whether or not this will be necessary by 2027. Give us 3 years to kind of look at it, but if it doesn't work closer to next year, a year after that, I represent to you that we'll move advance legislation to get the repealer out of there.
Okay, so you're saying that the repealer is there to put some pressure on...
Get something moving.
Okay, but if no action is taken by this body by the year 2027, there would be no compensation for indigent counsel.
If we don't take the repealer out and advance the legislation, that's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Yield.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, will you be opposed to amendment to enhance the passage of this particular piece of legislation?
Well, I don't know. It's you're going to get a little bit deeper than that, gentlemen.
Oh, well, gentlemen, I was wondering if you would be opposed to a pay raise for legislators be tied to the compensation of indigent counsel, because we are indigent.
You want, we'll make that effective 2034. How about that?
Gentleman from Tishomingo, Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you. Gentleman Newell?
Yes, sir.
Help me out here. Currently, how are our public defenders paid? Does it come out of county coffers, or does it come out of...
All public defenders that are on contract are paid out of county coffers, and those that are appointed by the judge that don't have public defender system are paid out of county coffers.
Are our supervisors support or oppose this bill?
I haven't heard from, I didn't reach out to them, and I did not hear any opposition. I've only talked to the circuit judges, and I think, gentlemen, to be honest with you, this is not going to affect that many counties. It's only those that don't have a public defender system, and some of the counties are paying more than what the cap is now. I think it will save certain counties some money by having this cap on it. Cap right now is $1,000. So what's happening is a lot of counties, the judges are giving them per hour rate on top of the $1,000 cap. So if you raised it to the $5,000 cap, I think the judges would keep that number under that cap, as opposed to just discriminately or indiscriminately applying a figure to it, whether it be office allowance, expenses, things of that nature, gentlemen.
So if I got in trouble in Tishomingo County, how much would the public defender get paid to go to a justice court for me right now?
Well, I think in Tishomingo County, since y'all have such a high crime rate up there, it would cost up to $1,000 depending on the offense. Right now it's $250. If he appointed you a public defender, most offenses in lower court, misdemeanor stuff, which I'm sure you wouldn't commit a felony, gentlemen,
right,
would be something that you probably wouldn't need appointed counsel, but those where the judge anticipates there's going to be jail time, is the only time that you have to appoint a public defender, then it would be up to $1,000. I don't think that's an unreasonable amount of money if you're going to place somebody in jail, that if you're going to try a case and investigate a case, that indigent counsel up to $1,000. If you're going to place somebody in jail, certainly not unreasonable, gentlemen. I hope you agree with me.
So looking at the bill, so currently in Tish County, $250, this will make it go up to $1,000?
Up to $1,000, up to $1,000.
Okay.
With no minimum. They can pay them $50 if they want to, but it's up to $1,000. It doesn't require that they pay it.
Yeah.
It just gives them authority to pay up to $1,000.
All right, thanks, sir.
No problem.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 112 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item number 13, House Bill number 1088. Advance the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I see you've got
that's amended.
Amendment, an amendment. Gentlemen, you want to adopt the amendment first, or you want to explain the bill and then?
Well, it's already, I think it was amended in committee, Mr. Speaker, but I'll
still got to adopt it.
Yeah, I understand. I'll adopt the amendment. What the amendment? Hold on a second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment, amendment number 1, basically requires that the circuit judges and the chancery judges get mental health training to support civil commitments, and that's a explanation of the amendment.
Any questions on the amendment? Don't see any. Question recurs on the adoption of Amendment 1 to House Bill 1088. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Anything further, gentlemen, on the explanation of the bill?
Gentleman from Pearl River will explain the measure, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Pearl River is recognized to explain the bill.
You did. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1088 will authorize the Circuit Court to conduct civil commitment procedures similar to the procedures we currently have in Chancery Court. The Circuit Court jurisdiction will be limited to those individuals who have been indicted on felony charges. So these are those situations where you have people who have been indicted, but they may have been found incompetent to stand trial or have some mental health issues. This would avoid the bureaucracy of having to go to another court to get them that treatment, and it would allow that circuit judge who holds jurisdiction over that individual to commit them to the state hospital. That's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I'll yield for any questions.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Smith, Mr. Tullis.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is there any constitutional provision that gives exclusive jurisdiction of lunacy and commitments to Chancery Court?
There is a particular vesting of jurisdiction in the Constitution to Chancery Court for lunacy cases. Our idea is that this is not going to fall under the lunacy case. This would fall under the judge's criminal jurisdiction authority as far as competency is concerned.
So what we're doing is we're taking something that usually the Chancery Court has jurisdiction over, switching it over to the Circuit Court if there's criminal charges pending.
This is just for those individuals who have been indicted, who have been determined to be incompetent, yes. Circuit Court can already make a competency determination in order that somebody be restored to competency. This is going to give them the authority to go a step further and allow them to also get mental health treatment.
Okay, thank you.
I knew that question.
Gentleman from Holmes, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I'm trying to figure out your bill. I'm not sure whether I like it yet or not, but let me ask you a question. This is after the indictment has been. So usually a person is arrested, you have the initial periods, the arraignment, sometime is 6 or 7 months before that person is actually indicted. So are they not treated until then?
Well, you know, the gentleman's question earlier, that's where we had to draw the line as far as the possible constitutional issue with giving Circuit Court that jurisdiction. We set the line at indictment because we know for sure that Circuit Court is vested with jurisdiction at that point. So we set it there to avoid any potential constitutional challenges as far as Chancery Court is concerned.
And also in the statute, there are prohibition.
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Presently in statute, there's a prohibition where if a person has been arrested for a felony, that you can't go to Chancery Court and do a civil commitment.
That is correct.
So with that being said, that prohibition, don't you think, will help a lot of people instead of allowing them to continue to be untreated for 6, 7 months before they're indicted and able to receive some help?
I would agree with you on that, gentleman. Now, in my practice, I do lunacy defense back home. In my practice, I've traditionally gone to the law enforcement and the DA, who have usually passed those charges to file to get around that prohibition. But I do agree with you that something probably needs to be done with that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Gentleman, you.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, what happens in the instance where there's no bed available at the state hospital with the inmate? What provisions are y'all putting in place for this? Was there nowhere for the inmate to go?
It's the same provision at this point, gentlemen. We have to wait. Wherever they're currently housed is where they'll wait. If they're out on bond, they'll wait out on bond. If they're in jail, they'll wait in jail. Now, once he is committed, they go from general population to, and if we're holding them in jail, they go from general population to the commitment population. But just like normal, you got to have a wait list. You got to wait for a bed.
So, if my memory falls correct, we had some issues with the feds around placing people who had mental health issues inside of jails. Had those issues been resolved?
That lawsuit, I believe, was dismissed by the Fifth Circuit, but the problem still exists in this state. I know several of our colleagues, the chairman of public health, the gentleman from Harrison, Mr. Felsher, are working on some pretty intense reforms to the mental health system. This will flow along with those. I think by the end of the session, we're going to have some good reforms that's going to make that system better and work for the people, and hopefully we can keep some of these people out of these jails.
All right, thank you.
Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Harness.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir, of course.
I just need some clarification, gentlemen. A lot of times, defendants, they need mental health treatment immediately. Is that correct?
Correct.
And because, understanding what the prior gentleman stated about jurisdiction and chancery, but once they have been charged, they are not allowed to get this mental health treatment. Is that correct?
That is correct, under the current statute.
So under that statute. So this bill is to help individuals that have been indicted get mental health treatment. Is that right?
Correct. And it's not pending a competency exam. So you can commit him for present mental health issues and then proceed to the competency evaluation, which you know takes forever.
Right.
But yes, you can go ahead and get the mental health treatment immediately upon indictment.
Sometimes, gentlemen, sheriffs have problems with individuals that are incarcerated that need mental health treatment. Is that right?
That is correct.
And they can't do that because of the indictment or the felony charges. Is that correct?
That is correct, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Lady from Humphreys, Miss James Jones.
Does the gentleman yield?
I can't find you.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
A quick question. My question is whether or not for AOC recording and purposes, would there be a separate filing for the civil side, or would that be a part of the criminal record recording?
This would be part of the criminal record.
So there would not be a separate cause number that would be required for this filing?
No, ma'am. Circuit would retain jurisdiction, so it would occur within that circuit court criminal file. Okay. There would not be an additional fee assessed or anything like that.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yep. So it would just be part of the criminal process.
So you think that the circuit clerks would be okay with filing a new filing without having any fees assessed?
I think this would be more or less comparable to the competency evaluations, which are already filed within those circuit files, and there are not fees assessed when a criminal defense attorney files a competency motion. We're working on these working hand in hand. Generally, if somebody needs to be assessed for competency, they also need some mental health treatment. So.
Okay, and you're saying again that will not be a separate filing. This would be a part of the original case filing that would be open.
Correct. It would be an MEC under the original criminal case file that's already been open.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, lady.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
I'd move for final passage,
Mr.
Speaker.
Moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 117 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Call up item 14, House Bill 873, and ask the junior gentleman from Hines to handle it.
Gentleman makes the usual motion. He calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The gentleman from Hines is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good afternoon to all of my amazing colleagues. So I have the pleasure of presenting House Bill 873 this afternoon. This bill will create a new alert, the Purple Alert, which will be used to locate missing individuals who have an intellectual or developmental disability that is not Alzheimer's disease or dementia-related disorders. So this is very similar to Amber Alerts and Silver Alerts, but it's only for people with cognitive problems such as autism. So just want to give you a few statistics on this. Florida currently is the only state with a Purple Alert. So once we pass this, we will be number 2. So Mississippi would probably finally be first in something good. So 255 Purple Alerts have been issued in the state of Florida since July 2022. And out of that, 255 Purple Alerts have been issued, resulting in locating 250 individuals in Florida. And so this is so important because 1 in 50 children is diagnosed annually with autism, and autistic children are more likely to run away than unaffected children. When they do run away, they are more likely to die than unaffected children. And more often than not, 91% of the time, those deaths are a result of drowning. So we must pass this and protect those who cannot protect themselves. And that's my explanation of the bill.
You yield for questions, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you yield?
Yes, sir.
Is that velvet?
Yes, sir. Like the thing from the Showtime with Apollo, y'all can rub it on the way out.
Yeah. No, you have a great bill. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Gentleman from Pike, Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, will you yield?
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I think you have a great bill. I do have a bit of a concern. For the members that vote for this bill, will we have to wear a purple jacket?
Absolutely.
Okay. Gentlemen, and before you put that purple jacket on, did you pass it by some of our members that are a part of Omega Phi Psi?
I did not.
Did I say it backwards? My bad. Thank you, gentlemen. You got a great bill.
Thank you so much.
All right, gentlemen, I don't see any further questions. Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 121 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Judge B yields.
Judge B yields. Apportionment elections. Chairman, gentleman from Covington, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item number 15, House Bill 922, called up to make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a committee sub to adopt.
Gentleman would move to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. You're recognized to explain the committee sub, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is self-explanatory for the most part. This would create the office of election commissioner to be nonpartisan. Many counties, including mine, already run independent, but some don't. This would require everyone to run nonpartisan. But it also would move districts 2 and 4 back to how they were at one time, which is that they were on a federal election cycle. I think inadvertently they got moved to the same cycle that we are. So 2 of those districts 2 and 4 were just elected in 23. When they come up for re-election in 2027, those would be a 3-year term, and then they would begin being elected in 2030, 2034, 2038. Both of these, nonpartisan and districts 2 and 4 being moved, Those are both at the request of the Election Commissioners Association. And that is a description of the bill, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 112 yeas, 6 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Recognize the gentleman from Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to item number 16, call up House Bill 1035, make the usual customary motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen, to explain the bill.
Ladies and gentlemen, House Bill 1035 is referred to as the Nonpartisan Judicial Election Act. What it does is bring Justice Court judges up under the purview of the as far as the Judicial Performance Board. They're nonpartisan. This has the support of the Judicial Performance Board as well as the Justice Court Judges Association. That's the explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, my comments are to hold the previous bill, item number 15 on the calendar, House Bill 922, on a motion to reconsider.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll do that. Are there questions on the bill? Gentleman from Lowndes, Mr. Kareem, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, I have a question.
You're recognized.
Gentlemen, will you yield?
Yes, sir.
Now, gentlemen, if this was to pass, does this take away the districts that the Justice Court judges are elected in?
No. No, what this does is they're not going to run as a Republican, Democrat, Independent. They're just going to run as a nonpartisan judicial office. Just like you do Circuit Court judges, Chancery Court judges, Supreme Court judges, and Court of Appeals.
So they're running a herd, but they won't, like you have Justice Court District 1, 2, and 3, they still will run in those particular...
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
All righty.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Gentlemen, I see we're taking with our Justice Court system. My question is, after we pass this, are we going to deal with the constables next? Are the constables coming next to be nonpartisan?
I cannot respond to that. I think this deals just with Justice Court judges.
I understand.
And I can't answer your question.
I know. I just want to see to know the next door that's going to open after, since we're going nonpartisan, are the constables next? Do you know? If you don't know, you don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Forest, Mr. Watson.
If the gentleman will yield.
Yes, sir.
Would this bill change the dates when Justice Court judges run? I know now they run when the general election, statewide election is held.
Right. You've got right now they run in a primary. They have either Democrat or Republican primary, and then runoff, and then the general election. But hold on one second. What will happen is they'll all run in November.
They will all run in November of what year?
The same year that they do
the same
now.
Year that legislators, governor, and everything run.
That's correct.
Okay, but then they would be subject to, certainly, they will only have one election, and that would be in November.
In November, unless there's going to be a runoff.
Okay, and all of the regulations are governing the receipt of campaign contributions, how they promote themselves for the office would be determined by the Mississippi Supreme Court?
It'd be determined by however how the Judicial Performance Board has it now, because now they cannot participate in like the go to Republican meetings, Democratic meetings, they can speak, but what has happened is, and that doesn't prevent a party from endorsing somebody, but they're very limited in what they can do as far as partisan politics.
And I take it this is coming before this body as a recommendation, a proposal from the Justice Court Judges Association?
It is, as well as the Judicial Performance Board.
Okay. Do you know how long they have wanted this to come before this body?
You know, I can only speak as to the Justice Court judges in my district. They have supported being nonpartisan because they couldn't understand why every other judge was nonpartisan except Justice Court judges.
Okay. And what public interest is being served with us considering and passing this bill?
I think the public interest is just like any other judge. A judge should be nonpartisan, especially in Justice Court because that's what is referred to as the People's Court. And there's no reason for a Justice Court judge to be involved in partisan politics.
Okay, you're saying there's just no reason for, but I'm just saying what public interest is being served?
Well, the public interest is to me, now I'm just going based upon my own experience and as to my Justice Court judges in my district, or the Justice Court judges in my district, is I think the public interest is the appearance of any impropriety or partisan politics. That's the public interest. There's no reason for a judge, any judge for that matter, to be involved in partisan politics.
Okay, if judges, Justice Court judges are going to be nonpartisan, why not just extend it to other elected officials?
Gentlemen, I'll say this, and like I was telling the other gentleman, we're dealing with Justice Court judges. I'm of the opinion sheriffs shouldn't be involved in partisan politics and other elected officials. And I'm not up here to say yes or no for those offices. I'm here for Justice Court judges and to present this bill as it pertains to them.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Hornis.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, a Justice Court is no longer the court, where you just get married at, is it?
That's correct.
As a matter of fact, if I'm charged with capital murder, the first place I'm going is where?
You're going to Justice Court.
So the Justice Court here, they hear a lot of serious matters. Is that?
They set the bonds for any felony, any misdemeanor. They, civil matters up to $3,500.
You think I'd be more likely to set a $100,000 bond versus a $200,000 bond if that person is a Democrat or a Republican? It could be a chance that, right? I'm saying.
It could be.
Right.
But I don't know why a judge would ask somebody if they're a
Democrat.
Democrat.
Well, they won't, but that's why we're taking the partisan. That's why we're partisan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, when it comes to our judicial system, that should not even come into play. So why should a judge have to abide by picking a political party and running for that office based upon their political affiliation? It makes no sense.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Gentleman from Itawamba, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Are you going to ask me is this a lawyer's bill?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
That's crossed my mind a couple times. Why can't we work out a way that we can have these elections at the same time instead of having to pay for another election later, if there's a runoff?
I'm sorry. Ask that again. You talking about
if they're not partial? Why can't we work out a way where they get to do an election back at the primary time instead of having to wait and see if there's going to be a runoff and pay for an extra election that's costing us money?
Instead of the general election and being a runoff from the general election?
Yeah, there'd be a runoff in the general election.
Including the Justice Court judge? Yeah. It's just like any other judicial offices. The Constitution provides that that there would be a runoff. That would be applicable in circuit judges' races, chancery court races, county court races. Is in the general election. If it requires a runoff, it will be after the general election. So it's based upon the Constitution.
Okay, so it won't cost us any extra money.
It won't.
Okay, thank you.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 105 yeas, 10 nays, the bill passes. Any other chairman have an item they wish to take up? Business and commerce? He passes. Agriculture? He passes. All right, announcements by the clerk's office.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, 5 minutes after adjournment, County Affairs will meet in room 401A. Forestry will meet 10 minutes after adjournment in room 103. Medicaid will meet at 3 o'clock in room 113. For tomorrow, Investigate State offices will meet at 9 in 204. Technology will meet at 9 in 401A. Housing will meet at 10 in room 103. Wildlife will meet at 10 in 114. Transportation will meet at 11 in room 204. Rules will meet at 1 in the rules room. Accountability, efficiency, and transparency will meet at 1:30 in room 103. Interstate cooperation will meet at 3 o'clock in room 103. Public Health and Welfare will have a joint hearing tomorrow at 3 in room 113. Constitution will meet after adjournment tomorrow in room 114. Banking will meet 15 minutes after adjournment tomorrow in room 402.
Announcements by the members. Gentleman from Lowndes, Mr. Kareem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to hold House Bill 1035 on the motion to reconsider.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please inform the chairman. Gentleman from Noxubee, Mr. Mickens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Housing will not meet on tomorrow.
Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder to the membership, Medicaid will meet for a hearing right after adjournment. I would like to invite the whole membership that's interested to come. We have an excellent presentation about the economic impacts as we study the options of providing health care to Mississippi's low-income workers, and I encourage anybody that's interested to please join us right now in room 113.
Lady from Madison, Ms. Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Technology will not meet in the morning at 9. Thank you.
Gentleman from Walthall, Mr. Pygott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Announcement. The membership of tomorrow is Omelet Day at the Galloway United Methodist Church at 11:30. Everybody come and make their own omelet or enjoy an omelet. Thank you.
You gonna make an omelet, gentlemen?
I will make you one.
Gentleman from Clay, Mr. Gibbs.
This evening at 5:30, the Sportsman Caucus will have a catfish supper at the Ag Museum on Lakeland at 5:30. Everybody's invited.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a reminder that the Education Committee will have a meeting on Thursday. That's February 22nd at 10 a.m. in 204. The meeting will be with MDE, and we will have our first real meeting as well after they present what they're going to present.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you all look on your desk there's a brochure with Delta Day with Grammy Museum, Bolivar County Chamber, and the Delta State University. Will be on tomorrow starting at 8 o'clock, and we ask that you go down in the Capitol building and pay them a visit.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, I don't see any further announcements. So, Madam Clerk has one further announcement.
Page pictures will be immediately after adjournment.
All right, I don't see anything further. I'll recognize the gentleman from Rankin for the motion.
I move that the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Gentleman moves the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.